Guys, I read all your comments, I listened to your feedback, you showed great support under Mastering Positional Techniques series, and now I am here to present you a new one, Endgames You Must Know from Beginner to Master. I'm not guaranteeing you'll become a master, but I definitely think that with this series, you'll definitely enhance your endgame knowledge. And this is the first lesson, and we'll take a look at the basic endings. So basic endings will take us probably around 2 videos, and then we'll move on to like rook endgames, knights and bishop endgames, and so on and so forth. We'll learn how to checkmate with, let's say, bishop and knight. It's going to be an exciting series, and let's begin here with basic endings and the first endgame position, the rule of square. Probably one of the most important ones, and you probably know about it, but still it's, I think, the more you repeat it, the more it gets into your head, and eventually, it might really help you with your calculation. So here it's white to play, and they're winning because this pawn moves to a4, and now, as you can see, this square from a4, a8, e8, e4, and if this king was able to move to e8 actually on this move, then it would have been a draw, but unfortunately the king is out of square, and now the pawn just simply goes and promotes, and white won the game. But there are cases when king is actually in the square, but still, it's not very helpful. Let's take a look at this position here. As you might actually see, the king is in the middle of the square, but it doesn't help, as white can actually block the way from this king to, let's say, c8, b8, and to make a draw. Unfortunately, it's not possible here for black. Even though the king is in the square, doesn't help, as white simply play king c7, and there is no way to stop this pawn on b2. And again, the square is huge here, but the pawn just moves with the help of this king, and white win the game. Now let's get to the ending number 2. The second ending is the pawn on the 6th rank. Take a look at this position. Do you think it's a win? It's a draw? It's a lose for either side? First of all, you gotta say it's white to play. And in this position, it really matters who is moving first. So you take a look here, white to play. Can they win? And the answer is yes, they can. Because here they play f7. And the point is now black have only legal move, which is king e7. After king g7, our king helps from all this pawn, and white win the game. And we have the same position here, but now it's black to play. And are they still losing? And if you answered yes, then you're wrong. You don't know endgames, that's why you're here. The answer is it is a draw, as black take their position by playing king g8. And the point is, after f7, king f8, white have to protect this pawn, and the only move to do so is to play king f6, and after king f6 it is stalemate, because pawn on f7 blocks e8, g8, and king on f6 blocks g7, e7, it is a draw. Now let's take a look at this position. This one is very, very interesting, and I want you to find a winning move here for white pieces. So, the position takes a crucial role in pawn endgames. And here, if let's say you play king b6, black take the position, and now it is a draw, as after c7 there is king c8, and now white have to protect the c7 pawn by playing king c6. All squares are taken, it is a draw. So white first play king a6, taking the position themselves. Now this king of course has to move, and after king b6 there is a tricky move, king a8, you might say. And if c7, it is a draw, as king is not able to move. But we don't have to push our pawn. We first play king c7, then our king moves to d7, and then we play c7, c8, promote the pawn and win the game. but after king b8 we again take the position king b6, and after king c8 we reach the position we saw in the previous examples, and we play c7. Now the only legal move is king d7, and after king d7, king b7, we promote pawn on next move to queen and win the chess game. Now look at the following example, and that's another exciting position as well. Pawn on the 6th rank. Kings are opposed to each other. It's white to play. Who do you think is winning here? And you might calculate some lines. I think it will be very important. And again, it comes down to taking the position in the following game. First, white play king f5. And no matter where black go, they're losing. Let's say they play king g8. The point is, now white take the position by playing king g6, and after king f8, king f6, once again, we reach this position where it's white to play, and they play 7 and promote the pawn after king f7 and e8. But what if in this following position after king f5, they decide to play king f8, kind of take this long opposition? It still doesn't help, as we take a position ourselves. This king is superior to this one, and again we reach the same position as 7, king d7, king f7, promotion, next move, white win the game. Now let's take an example here. It's white to move. Now black have a pawn on the 3rd rank, doesn't matter, 6th, 3rd, kind of same, it's knight's pawn now. If it was one of the center pawns, here black would have won, but it's knight's pawn, and white have a save due to a little tactical idea. So of course, white are not going king h3. They're not going king g1, because after g2, they will lose the game. They play king h1, and there is a little nuance. King f2 now is a stalemate. So they try to go king g4, they trying to shake us, but we play king g2. And now, no matter where black go, we'll eventually go king g1, and then take the position on f1 or on h1 and make a draw. Let's just look, for example, king h4, king goes to g1, now king goes to h3. We're not going to h1 here, because once again, the rule of opposition, king goes to h3, takes the position, king moves g2, and now pawn promotes. Instead, we kinda, hide in front of the pawn, and now king h3, king h1, g2, this is a draw, and the same pretty much happens. Let's say if black decide to go this way, we still put our king in front of the pawn, and then wait for the king to come in to f3, and now we take the position after g2, king g1, king g3, once again into stalemate, and it is a draw. Now let's get to the ending number 3. Ending number 3, and that's about key squares. I would encourage you to actually try and stay with me for next couple of minutes as I go on through different examples. So the pawn here, as I analyzed previously, hasn't reached the 6th rank. And here, once we take this 3 squares in front of the white's pawn, one left diagonal, one in front, one right diagonal, we actually win the game. So in this starting position, we take the position by playing king f6, and no matter where black go, we either go king f7 or king g7. Let's take a look at king e8, king g7, king f7, pawn promotes, f7, white win the game. This is an example with a knight pawn, and once again the pawn hasn't reached the 6th rank. And if we move g6 right now, it's a stalemate. We first play king g6, and it looks like black took the position by playing king g8, but we gotta, keep one extra pawn move in mind, as here we play king h6, and once again, a position, right? But no, you have extra pawn move. You play g6, and now black are out of opposition. They have to move their king to g8, only legal move. Now you play g7, and again, only legal move, king f7, king h7, you promote and win the game. And this example is the best way to demonstrate the power of key squares. So the pawn is on 4th rank. And for the 4th pawn ranks, basically the key squares would be two squares in front. Basically, in this case, t6, e6, e6, which are highlighted on your screen. And if we are able to reach one of those, we'll win the game. So, and the best way is, of course, to reach the c6 square in this specific example. King d5. Once again, we're about to get the square. King d7, king c6, and now there's no way to stop our pawn from promotion. King d8, we take the position by playing king d6, and after king c8, king d7, we kinda make this king go away and help our pawn promote. There is no way to stop white win the game. This example is a bit more difficult. As you might see here, black's pawn is on 5th rank. It hasn't reached 4th rank yet. And as soon as basically king reaches this, let's say, d3 square, and it was black to move, they would win the game. They would play king c4, and as we saw in the previous example, they managed to take this d3 square under control. But in the following example, it's white to move. And here they can actually make a draw, not by playing king b2, because king b4 and, you know, black take their position and they win the game, because then, you know, they have this like extra tempo. They will eventually win. They can take key squares like king b2, king b4, just take the position. All right, let's forget about it. But the move to play here is distant opposition, basically 3 squares in between b2, b3, and b4, and now it is a draw. No matter where black's king is going, a4, we play king a2, king b4, we play king b2, king c4, we play king c2, we take their position. We don't let this king take one of these 3 squares, and it is only a draw. Again, king c1, because after king b3, we gotta take their position, and c2, king c1, king c3, it is a draw. And let's get to the final position of this episode. And again, key squares for pawn on 3rd ranks, guys. We saw pawn on 5th rank, we saw pawns on 4th rank, and now on 3rd rank, the key squares would be actually f5, g5, and h5. So this is winning for white pieces. Here they play g4, black gotta get off this position. They play king h7. We play king f6, and now if king h6, of course, g5, king h7, king f7, and we might actually reach the position we saw in the previous example, because now we play king g6, and that's exactly what we saw in one of the previous positions. King f6, king h8, and now we play king g6. We take, so black's king is taking that position, but extra pawn move saves us, g5. And now the point is king h8, and this is exactly the same position that we saw, king f7, king h7, g6, king h6, g7, white promote, and they win the game. So in the next lesson, we'll take a look at some other different basic endings, and then from lesson 3, we'll just go on to see some, you know, specifically, let's say, rook endgames, knight, bishop endgames, as we go through. I hope you will learn a lot through this series. I hope you will watch it, because look, guys, for some of you, you're like, all right, where do I learn endgames? Guys, I'm giving you some resources that, I mean, there are of course a bunch of it online, but, you know, stay with me, you know, you'll support me. I'll try to teach you how to use it, and maybe I'll put some my examples from my own games, because, you know, pawn endgames occur a lot, let's say rook endgames occur a lot, so it's very interesting to actually analyze from, like, let's say from a OTB perspective, what mistakes people make. But I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Again, any feedback will be appreciated. You know, I'm really trying my best here, you know, putting all this content together, a lot of work. So hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next lesson number 2. Enjoy. Bye bye.